Welcome to an Eagles talk video, Sacred Eagle podcast, whatever the hell you want to call it. We're here. It's been a while since I've done a long sit-down video like this. But I'm here for 30 minutes to talk about the Eagles versus the Ravens. If you want to hear this early, I'll be posting links in the community tab to where you can hear this on the podcast, because that'll be out first. This will be out by tomorrow, say tomorrow morning. Roughly, I'll figure out the time, but stay tuned for it. But holy shit. The Eagles today, wow. And first and foremost, the Eagles fall to 1-4-1 on the season. Still in second place, half a game behind, or now one full game behind the Dallas Cowboys, who have a game tomorrow night against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, that game is up in the air after Dak Prescott's terrible injury, season-ending injury. We don't really know how they're going to do tomorrow. We don't know how the Cardinals are going to do. We'll have to wait and see. But until then, we have only a couple of days to get over what could have been today and look forward to Thursday night against the New York Football Giants, who just got their first win. Congrats to the to the Giants fans out there who are watching this, if any. You know who you are. Congratulations. You guys picked up your first win. Feels good to be in the winning column, doesn't it? Join the one-win club. Philly and Washington are proud to have you alongside us. But anywho, enough on Giants. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday talk. Right now, we're talking Ravens. And the reason why I'm doing this whole 30-minute podcast video for you guys is to get it all out there, because let's face it, we have to move on after this, because again, Thursday Night Football, we really need to move on from this. But I want to take a moment to really address the title of this video, which Doug Pederson. Why? You know, I have been very critical of Doug Pederson over the years. Ever since we hired him, I was thinking to myself, this is a bad hire. That this was not going to end well for us moving forward. That this was just going to be a waste of a couple of years, a waste of maybe Carson Wentz's whole career. I didn't know, because I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of Doug Pederson, and at the time of his hiring, we had people like John Gruden and Adam Gase in the conversation. He was a high prospect for head coaches at the time. And now look where that got him. He's about to get fired by the Jets. But, of course, we have it better off than the Jets. We've won a Super Bowl. But how much of that was really Doug Pederson at this point? I think it's safe to say that we miss the likes of John DeFilippo, and immensely we're missing Frank Reich as our offensive coordinator. Those two guys really brought it all together for our two quarterbacks who played in 2017, and we haven't been the same ever since they left after that season. We've looked worse. We've looked inconsistent. Offensively, moving the football has been a struggle. We haven't been able to sustain drives, especially in the first half of football games. We barely score points in the first half anymore, and it's never been the same. It really, that's how it was. We used to start in 2017 as a high-powered offense that would really just get at you and put up points immediately, fresh out of the gate. And ever since then, we're what the Dallas Cowboys have been dealing with the past 2 seasons now, which is you get down double digits and then you can't bring yourself back. And when you do, you end up not being able to fully complete the comeback in the fourth quarter. That's exactly what happened with the Eagles today against the Ravens. And looking at it, there were so many missed opportunities. And now it's been a couple hours removed, and I'm like in a better state of mind. I'm not as upset about it or anything. Let's look at some stats while I talk about it. I mean, aside from a few certain things that I'm going to highlight, I mean, if we look at the stats alone, Carson Wentz threw 40 times, barely completed 50% of them, which is a shame. 21 of 40, 213, 2 touchdowns, 1 running, and then, of course, the fumble in the second quarter. not bad. Outside of how many passes he threw, he didn't do that bad today. This was one of his better games, especially in that second half, primarily that fourth quarter. The 2 touchdowns he threw were great. Travis Fulgham, and then, what's his name, Jason Crook, like 4th string tight end. Props to him getting his first touchdown, am I right? But Travis Fulgham, I feel like if there's anything to really target as a really good thing, is Travis Fulgham. I mean, he has not disappointed in 3 games so far. He has 18 catches for like 278 yards and 3 touchdowns. A touchdown in each game, which Ray Didinger during the postgame show was actually saying he doesn't know of any other Eagles wide receiver in history in their first 3 games as an Eagle to score 3 touchdowns in 3 consecutive games. Their first games as an Eagle, which blows my mind. You know, and it's this guy, Travis Fulgham, from Old Dominion, a late-round pick who got waived by, by the Lions and Green Bay, something like that, right? And then the Eagles picked him up because why the hell not? And here he is now. He's more of a number 1 wide receiver than Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson have ever been in their tenures here at Philly. And I'm not talking about Deshaun Jackson in his prime. I'm talking about right here, right now. That's the fact of the matter. Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey right now cannot find their way onto the field, and that has been one of the biggest issues for both of them the past 2 seasons. And they're stealing money, and they are not allowing us to do anything outside of sign Darius Slay to a decent contract that made him one of the most highest paid corners. Outside of that, we can't think of signing Zach Ertz or even Dallas Goedert after 2022 because that's when he's going to be a free agent. So it's like we can't think of signing anybody, even if whether we want to or not, because of how much these 2 buffoons are stealing from us, and it's just ridiculous. Travis Fulgham right now, he's getting paid pennies compared to those 2, and he's putting in more work than those 2 have in the past 2 seasons in total, like combined. Especially in this, especially this quickly, in this out of the gate. The Eagles also were, this was the first time in Eagles history that they have allowed a 100-yard rusher out of a quarterback. No, Michael Vick never did it to us. Russell Wilson never did it to us. None of those guys ever did. Lamar Jackson on 9 carries had 108 yards. Miles Sanders on 9 carries had 118 yards. And 74 of those came on his touchdown fumble and recovery by him and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, which was a turning point of our game late in the third quarter. Those 6 points are what sparked it, and the Eagles ended up scoring 22 points unanswered in the second quarter, or not unanswered, but 22 points in the fourth quarter. We outscored the Ravens in the second half 28-13. Now, while that's all great and fabulous, we got outscored 17-0 in the first quarter, so it was null and void. The biggest things that I wanted to talk about were stuff that I already talked about in my reaction, and then my post-game video where I talked for 8.5 minutes about the biggest issues I had, which revolve around, again, the title of the video and this podcast episode, which is Doug Pederson. I've been critical over it because of... I've been critical of him because ever since we lost those guys that helped our offense be as good as it was in 2017, I haven't seen anything close to that same offense ever since. Today, the Eagles had the ball for 23 minutes and 30 seconds compared to the Ravens' 36 minutes and 20 seconds. We got outplayed time of possession-wise 13 minutes. 13 minutes. The biggest thing the Eagles did right today was be a disciplined squad. We only had 3 penalties worth of 20 yards today. After a week before against the Steelers, we were getting pass interferences and holdings and offsides almost every single drive against a Steelers team where we were really in with the game with them from the first quarter to the fourth quarter until things just got way too far away from us. The Ravens had 132 yards worth of penalties given to us. But another thing we couldn't do was take the ball away. This defense once again was unable to make a turnover happen, take away the football. Meanwhile, Carson Wentz fumbled on a read option play in the second quarter that resulted in 7 points. So where do you think I'm going with this? While the defense struggled to take the ball away, they did their job and held the Ravens for the most part to 24 points. The last 6 that they got in the fourth quarter really didn't matter, in my opinion. It's what happened in the first quarter that was the worst. And the offense in the first quarter was worse than the defense, allowing 14 points. It's the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to score points. That's what they do. But the offense, until the 2-minute warning in the second quarter, did not have a single first down. Not one. Not one. The commentators and CBS highlighted how many negative plays the teams had, and despite all of that, at the point in the fourth quarter, the Baltimore Ravens had 9 negative plays to the Eagles' 3. And it took us nearly a half of a game to get a first down, while the Ravens were able to convert on 3rd and longs. Granted, of course, you had missed opportunities from John Hightower on the third play of the game, first drive of the game. He dropped an easy 48-yard pass completion, potential touchdown, that stunted everything in the first quarter. That was exactly what the first quarter was like. And then to sum up the first half, Miles Sanders was expecting Carson Wentz to throw for some reason towards the back right pylon instead of over his left side, which made more sense. It was the easier throw. He was wide open. Nobody was over there, and he turned himself around and dropped what would have been a very easy touchdown to bring the game to 17 to at least 6, depending on what Doug Pederson wanted to do, because you know how he does. 2-point conversions, gotta go for them all, right? And don't even get me started on the 2-point conversions. I'm waiting to get to that, but this offense today lacked any sort of sense of urgency in the first half. Did not want to run the ball to save their lives. Again, Miles Sanders only had 9 carries for 118 yards. Oh, but in the second quarter, you know what we did do a lot? We did bring out Jalen Hurts, not to throw the football, not to take over because of offensive struggling under Carson Wentz. No. We brought him in for read options. We brought him in for those gadget plays that we were excited to see from him because that's what we drafted him for, right? That's what we were seeing in the second half, and guess what? They worked. 10 plays, 70 yards. We drove down the field. 4th down and 1. After Miles Sanders drops the touchdown pass, what are we doing for 4th down and 1? The most obvious of all obvious plays, quarterback sneak. And what happens? We don't convert. We don't get anything. And then, of course, after that, the Eagles catch a break, get the ball back. Travis Fulgham gets targeted for the first time. And not only does he get targeted, but he forces a pass interference call that sets us up for good field position for a field goal. And our favorite kicker, Jake Elliott, he misses a 51-yarder. He misses the 51-yarder. This is a guy that 3 years ago hit a 61-yarder and made it look easy. And now he can barely hit from outside of 50. Nothing could go the Eagles' way, right? Even when they were catching breaks, they couldn't take advantage. That was one of the perfect things that I read on articles today. And I watched a lot of Eagles fans today losing their minds. Joey Shake, 72. Shout out to you. I've loved your content this past season in particular because you have kept it real as can be. And everything you said in your little rant in your car is exactly how I felt. Because holy shit. This all goes back to coaching. 100%, no matter what. This all goes back to coaching. This all goes back to Doug Pederson literally proving to us that he is not a play caller. Why do you think Andy Reid was so easy as far as, oh, he wants to go to coach Philly? Fine, bye. And guess what? Andy Reid wins the Super Bowl without him. Of course, Doug Pederson won before Andy Reid did, but that was with help from Frank Reich, John DeFilippo. You actually had a team at that point. You had 2 capable running backs, 3 capable running backs. You had a healthy Alshon Jeffrey, a speedster in Torrey Smith, and you actually had Nelson Aguilar playing to his full potential. And that's because the coaching staff fit what the Eagles wanted to do, and everything was working in harmony. But guess what? Ever since a couple of guys left and we shifted things around, the only thing that stayed truly consistent is Deuce Staley being the great running back coach that he is. Nothing else has stayed the same, and nothing else has been good with this team since February 4th of 2018. Nothing has been good. We've won 1 playoff game since the Super Bowl. And I said it a couple of weeks ago in the video. This is the new norm. Mediocrity. And now we're not even mediocre. We are far from a mediocre football team. And I said it today that I do not want to hear anything about, oh, we're 1 game out of first place. If the Cowboys lose, we're half a game out still. You really think I want to see this team in the playoffs right now? Granted, honest to God, I think if everything goes smoothly, the Eagles could actually win a playoff game if we play with the players that we have now and with an offensive line that is healthy and isn't bench warmers. The only 2 starters that started the year 5 weeks ago on this team right now that are still healthy are Jason Kelce, our center, and Carson Wentz, the quarterback. Miles Sanders went out with a knee injury. He and Zach Ertz are getting MRIs because Zach Ertz also went out with an ankle injury that he tried to play through but just couldn't. On top of that, to Alshon Jeffrey, who hasn't played since December. Deshaun Jackson has been out for 3 straight weeks with a hamstring injury. Oh, yeah, he's going to be able to play on Thursday. Oh, I'm excited. You know what that means, though, right? Joey Shakes, again, I'm going to call you out. Or not call you out. I'm going to agree with you. Because guess what they're going to do? Once Deshaun Jackson and Alshon are able to play, Travis Fulgham and Greg Ward, they're gone. They're going to be on the bench again. Why? Because they want to shove the veterans down our faces. They want us to continue to believe that they are the answer to winning, to being successful. When rightfully so, it's not the way it's going to be. No way. We're not going to win with those guys. As I'm telling you this, if Deshaun Jackson plays and takes over for Travis Fulgham and his playtime, the Eagles are going to lose against the New York Giants. Because I don't want to see Deshaun out there. I don't want to see him out there. I really don't. I don't want to see Alshon Jeffrey out there. I don't even want to see Zach Ertz out there. Richard Rodgers and this guy, this crook. These 2 tight ends. They play better than Zach Ertz. And now, of course, Zach Ertz is getting respect from everybody else. He's getting double covered. He's getting looked at a lot more than other guys. But still, from a guy who's being expected a huge payoff from the Eagles, a big contract, he's not playing up to it, and now he's injured, so maybe there's a reason why, but still, the young guys, the unproven guys that want to fight to play and prove themselves are playing better than the veterans who think that they can get everything handed to them. And that's why I cannot wait for this year to be over, because I know that for a fact that even if this team makes the playoffs, because right now, let's face it, even as bad as the stats are for Carson Wentz, which I'll look at them right now, even with everything that's happened today and over the year, he is still the best quarterback in this division. And the only reason I say that is because Dak Prescott is hurt. Andy Dalton is a close number 2 because that Dallas offense is stacked to the brim with talent. Talent that the Eagles overlooked and said, no, we want Jalen Hurts over CeeDee Lamb. Why? Why? So we can run him out for some gadget plays? Like, dude, we didn't even play him at all during the Steelers game. For 1 play, and he threw the ball. It wasn't even for a gadget play. It was just a quick RPO that got us 20 yards, which was great. But we didn't do anything afterwards. Jalen Hurts right now, unless if he takes over at some point for the Eagles as their starting quarterback, is going to be the biggest waste of a pick ever. And I'm not talking out of talent. He's a very talented player. But holy shit, we could have packaged that number 2 for another first round pick, or to move up for a first round pick, for a better first round pick, to get another wide receiver. Or better yet, just draft another wide receiver in the second round, or a linebacker, or a corner, or even a running back, J.K. Dobbins, anybody. But here we are now at 1-4. Our number 1 overall, our number 1 pick, Jalen Reagor, is still on IR with a thumb injury. 2 other wide receivers aren't able to play. Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert are both injured. Jason Peters is still trying to play because he's trying to continue to rob the Eagles of all the money and of that left tackle spot. Brandon Brooks is thankfully the freak of nature, and he's going to be able to return this year, which is amazing. Applause to that. I don't know if you guys knew that. He was posting videos of him jumping 32 inches like it was nothing, or whatever it was. I don't even remember the number, but he's just jumping like he never freaking tore his second Achilles. It's like, holy shit. Meanwhile, Lane Johnson can't freaking stay on the field. Granted, that injury, whatever it is probably very severe, and he really just can't play through it. But Jesus Christ, the Eagles can't catch a break. From injuries to poor execution to above all bad coaching and even terrible play calling. Even worse than anything else, the play calling is god awful. Never gets better. It never gets better. And Doug Pederson, I really want to know what goes through your head. I asked earlier today, do you have like memory loss? Are you having like amnesia or dementia? Like, are you starting to lose your marbles? Because let's get down to the nitty gritty of what pissed me off so much during this loss. This loss that could have very well have been a win, just like almost every other loss / tie that we've had this past season. Okay. So you just scored a touchdown. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was luckily in the end zone to pick up the fumble, which was great. Good heads-up play by him. Why on earth are you going to go for 2 in that position? And not only are you going to go for 2, because, okay, again, it doesn't make sense in the situation. It really doesn't. That's the first thing, because that was those were your first points of the game. You didn't score anything else. So I guess I can understand, maybe you just really want to get more points, right? But of all the plays you're going to call on the 2-yard line, it's a read option with Jalen Hurts. What do you think that they're looking for when Jalen Hurts enters the game? A read option. Some sort of gadget play. And he's lined up in the shotgun with Boston Scott to his right. What else did you think was going to happen? What else did you think the Ravens were going to anticipate? And guess what? They couldn't even make it past the line of scrimmage. Fast forward to the next touchdown, where we go for 2, and it's a pass completion. Great. Good job. The third touchdown. Pass completion. Beautiful. Wide open J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Wentz rolling to his right. Perfect. That's how Wentz should be playing all game. Of course, he doesn't, but whatever. You score the touchdown with 1:55 left. You have to go for 2, of course. And of all the plays that you're going to call, you're going to revert back to the very first 2-point conversion attempt. Run a read option the opposite way, but with Carson Wentz and Boston Scott. That is where I really, literally look at Doug Pederson and I ask him, are you mental? Are you losing brain cells? Are you okay? Because I don't understand the logic of calling a play on a 2-point conversion that you already attempted a quarter ago and it didn't work. That doesn't just go away. It's not going to work the next time. And it's not going to work any better with Carson Wentz out there. Carson Wentz, who isn't as fast, who isn't as shifty as Jalen Hurts, who runs those plays like nothing. Carson Wentz doesn't run the plays all the time. And the one time he did earlier, he fumbled the football. Why would you run the same play again for a third time only to watch it not succeed? What did you think was going to happen? That he wasn't going to fumble it? Or that he wasn't going to get stopped behind the line of scrimmage? What did you think was going to be different? Oh, we flipped the play. Okay. It was that moment right there where I just had nothing left in me. Once the game was over, I just ended the stream without even saying goodbye, and I apologize for that. But my goodness, I watched that play go down. I watched the Eagles lose due to it, and I just said, what happened to the other plays that worked on 2-point conversions? What happened to everything that worked prior to that decision to run the read option? What happened? Why do we revert back to that play? It baffles my mind so much. I really do not understand it whatsoever. I don't. I really don't. And I feel like a broken record for complaining about it, because I've been complaining about it ever since the Super Bowl. 2018, 2019, and now 2020. The play calling under Doug Pederson without Frank Reich and John DeFilippo has regressed so much so that I can't even it's hard to envision right now. I'm trying to remember the plays that we ran in 2017. I trying to envision that with the players that we have now, and I can't. And it's not because they can't do it or that it won't work. It's because our coach won't call them again. It's because our coach won't stick to what works. And our general manager will not draft correctly, or he won't sign the players he needs to sign that he should sign. I saw a really good comment today saying, stop saying that Miles Sanders is your 3-down back when you only use him for 1 or 2 downs. I saw that and I was just like, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. We don't have a 3rd down back as great as Miles Sanders is. We don't. We don't have a big guy, and we could have with Devontae Freeman and Carlos Hyde, but we just decided not to, because why not? And all I gotta say is, Doug Pederson, Howie Roseman, why you gotta do this to us? Now, the last thing that I want to do with the 2.5 minutes left before I end this, because it feels good to get this all off my chest, but I need to end it eventually. Reuben Frank, I don't really like him too much, but as an Eagles insider who posts a lot of content for NBC Sports, I have to check this out. Instant 10 observations from the link. Let's go down them, right? I don't care what his stats say. This is one of the most gallant performances I've ever seen from Carson Wentz. Basically saying that he did really well. He played with a lot of gut and a lot of heart. The Eagles made it close and battled and fought and all of that, but now 6 games into 2020, they've played exactly 2 halves where both the offense and the defense played well. The first half of Washington and the second half of the Niners game. Very true. I don't know what to say about the injuries. The Eagles can't take a team photograph without somebody getting hurt. Very true, very true. The defense did a nice job regrouping after an ugly start, but you can't ignore that ugly start. It was 17-0 early in the second quarter before they really started to get a feel for Lamar Jackson, figure out how to slow them down. They couldn't do it consistently even after that. I still don't like the Jalen Hurts draft pick. When you draft somebody in the second round, he's got to be a starter for you, but he clearly adds some juice to the offense. When he's in there, it makes the team harder to defend. And there aren't many people like that on this team. It's nice to see John Hightower dropping back. Yeah. Listen, this team, there's issues. There's way too many issues to count. And all I've got to say moving into new content this week in regards to moving forward, please do not tell me that next week is going to be a guaranteed win, because it's not going to be a guaranteed win. The Eagles hosting the New York Giants is not going to be anything but a guaranteed win. It is going to be a sloppy, ugly, gritty game between 2 crappy NFC East rivals who are desperate for a win. And the Eagles probably more so than the Giants. And do I expect anything to change moving forward? No, but I hope so. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out, y'all.